next panel. So thank you so much, Dr. Gabriel Caswell from Spaceport Australia and Dr. Menga from Portsmouth University, who is right here. We hope that you can rejoin us in the room, Dr. Menga, and can continue a conversation with you at the end. So Andrew Murdon is here and Che Bolden. We're going to begin our next session that is to talk about the issue of let me just double check my topic here. Yes, all right. So we are going to be covering the topic of analog research, I believe. Let me just double check to make sure I'm actually saying the correct title. Our session and last session is Addressing Space Analog Research and Education. Addressing Space Analog Research and Education. And so we have with us and Dr. Andrew Murdon, and we have also Che Bolden, who are going to be giving us some insight from their perspective as to how they think the work that they're doing could impact on analog research and education. And that's a broad topic, because for those of you who don't know what a space analog is, a space analog is really a simulation of a space habitat. So that could be either the ISS, it could be on another orbit somewhere else in space. It could be a surface simulation, like a lunar surface or Mars surface. So the four most, I would say, popular ideas are Earth orbit, such as ISS, a moon orbit, such as what is being planned by some of the people interested in habitats, as well as a moon settlement, something on the surface of the moon, as well as Mars orbit and Mars surface. All right. So with that, let me start with Dr. Andrew Murdon, who is here from Mauritius. Dr. Murdon, the floor is yours. Do you need to share slides?
Yes, Dr. Claire. So right, I will share my slides.
Yes, please go ahead.
Right, so 1 minute, please. Okay. Do you see the slides?
Yes.
Right. So good morning, everyone, or good evening. Right. So I am Andrew Murdon from Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, University of Mauritius. Okay, so I'm going to present on the space analog research and education, and I'm going to give an academic perspective. So what we're trying to do is bridging theory and practice in space science education. Right. So what is space analog research? I think by now, most of you know what is analog space analogs. And here we are talking about the research, right? Research in space analog in this field. Now, you know that academic framework, right? In universities, we carry out teaching, but also research. And this is a good place to start research on analog space. So I'm going to browse very fast through this slide because this is, I think this has been covered earlier in most of the talks. So the research concerns terrestrial simulation that mimic conditions of space environments, right? So what is it exactly? So we try to replicate space-like conditions like we have in deserts, in volcanic sites, and these are useful for testing systems in realistic and also mission-relevant terrain, right? Testing ground for technologies, procedures, human factors, right? Technologies maybe like rovers, or the engineering behind the rovers, the habitats, even life support systems. So we have to ensure that these equipment, these technologies are reliable under extreme conditions. before space deployment, right? Human factors, yeah, this is very important. So have to sort of study the behavior, the crew behavior under stress or extreme stress and also isolation. So the research is around also englobes the assessment of mental health, teamwork, coping strategies in sort of confined settings, right? And what this provides also is a bridge between laboratory research and actual missions.
So, something just went wrong with your sound. All of a sudden, your sound just went very off. I don't know what it is. You were fine before.
I could hear him fine. It didn't break up on the transmission. He was we could hear.
It was okay. So can continue.
Okay, something is wrong with your transmission. It was fine before. It just went off a sudden.
Now can you hear me? Hello, Dr. Lay, can you hear me now?
Dr. Murdon, I can hear everything you're saying. Dr. Nelson, I think there's something on your connection because he's been clear the whole time.
Connection. Okay, my connection. Okay.
Okay. Good now? Hello. I think it's either Dr. Claire's connection, in fact.
You're good, Dr. Murdon. You're good. Everybody else, I think, can hear you. I think it's Dr. Nelson's.
Okay, I'll continue because we have been informed that we're already late by maybe 30 minutes, right? So anyway, I will browse through these slides very fast. So laboratory research and actual space mission. So this is why mission simulation is required.
Okay, let's try it again.
Okay, you can hear me now? Hello, Dr. Claire, you can hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Dr. Nelson, can you hear Dr. Murdon and myself, or are you out altogether? Keep going, Dr. Murdon. I'll set her.
Okay, just text her. Right. Thank you, Dr. Che.
I think the microphone and some might be just tired.
I think it is your receiver, your maybe, right? The loudspeaker at your place.
Okay, so something is wrong with our phone. Everybody hearing, but we're not hearing in the room. So something is wrong. So let's try one more time. Okay, I'm gonna turn the sound down. This is down. Could you try it again? I can hear you because I'm on my laptop. Other people in the room can't hear. Okay, there we go.
I remove my video. Can you see the slide now? Hello, can you see the slide?
Go ahead.
Yes. We can.
Okay, I just removed my video, so you can see the slides by the way, right? Okay, so let's continue. Right. Yes, I mentioned enable study of isolation, confinement, and extreme environment effects.
And you please turn on your video. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Now good. Yeah. Why research and education and training in research? So this provides a realistic training environment for future astronauts, right? So when we talk research, we talk students, lecturers, but then this goes much beyond this because we try to provide hands-on, immersive experience, strengthen their skills in science, engineering, teamwork, leadership, and global self-reform, right? Okay, so yeah. So what is the educational significance of analog research, right? We have experiential learning, right? That is hands-on. We have interdisciplinary integration, right? Engineering, science, psychology, policy. So this promotes system thinking and sort of cross-sector collaboration, right? Also try to develop problem-solving skills. That is real-time decision-making under pressure. We would say under high pressure, maybe under stress, resource limitations, uncertainty, right? This is in these conditions that people have to take sort of a real-time decision when they are sort of aspiring to become astronauts, right? And also research methodology, scientific investigation in controlled environments. So here they try to design and conduct experiments in controlled yet realistic situations and settings. So this enhances sort of data collection, analysis, and critical evaluation and career preparation. So this is a direct pathway to space industry careers, right? Now we come to this. Very many of the employers look for people who have already gone through analog research before taking them on board. So this is becoming a sort of a almost mandatory pathway, right? And also this collaboration, we have global collaboration opportunities, international exposure, all right? So it encourages collaboration between global institutions and analog stations, and also fosters sort of global research networking, right? Okay, so what is the value proposition? Now, value proposition, you see, you have all these already existing, right? Research analog centers, right? And each of these sort of specialize in certain fields, like the Mars that is in Utah, USA. This is the world's longest running Mars analog station and mostly used for engineering, geology, and also human factors. The one in Oaseas, Hawaii, this is focusing on isolation, confinement, and also psychological research. You have Flashline Mars in Canada. So Canada, it's very cold. So it operates in a polar desert. You have Oaseas, northern Kenya. So this is the one that we'd be interested in because it's happening now, right now. And I think Dr. Claire Nelson has already spoken about this. So this is the first analog station for Africa, right? And targets local capacity building as well as global research, inclusive research. We also have the International Space University, France. So this integrates activities into academic space studies, promotes interdisciplinary, intercultural collaboration, and you have the LUN-RS in Poland, whereby it supports lunar missions, simulations, and also biomedical research. So you see, each of these are sort of specialized in a few fields, right? Right. So now we see also a global academic investment coming from bodies like NASA, ESA, and national space agencies. Now, NASA, hopefully, they will continue to fund with the new government. We don't know what's happening, but hopefully they will continue to fund. We have university partnerships, right? Multi-university collaborations for sort of missions, research, facilities that are shared. You have private sector investment, corporate commercial space companies. You have companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin that back analog research technologies, right? Now, this is a win-win situation because these space analog are doing or sort of creating, enhancing capacity. They're doing capacity building. And of course, the private sector will look for people from here, right? So it is a win-win situation. Also have international grants like from EU, from UN, and also bilateral space agreements, right? This promotes research mobility, cross-border analog missions. Education initiative, STEM education programs, STEM, science, technology, engineering management, that was worldwide, it was sort of declining, but with analog space research, hopefully it will sort of go up again. And also infrastructure development, so new facilities under construction globally, right? We have new analog habitats emerging in Africa, Asia, Europe, right? The emphasis now is much more on sustainability, digital integration, accessibility, and now in AI as well, right? Now, this will also foster academic partnerships, international academic partnerships. So we already have a few institutions, like University Space Research Association with 121 members, universities, right? We have International Space University, right? Global Space Education Network, we have the Mars Society, a European Space Agency. All these sort of building capacity, right? Building capacity for academics and research, right? And also we have a sort of cross-disciplinary networks. So bringing together engineering, science, medicine, humanities. So encouraging holistic approaches to space research and education, right? So what are the opportunities? Engineering, psychology, biology, geology, social sciences, technology, everything. And university is one place whereby you can have all of these, right? So university is sort of doing the groundwork, right? And the space analogs, maybe they will prepare these people for the space agencies, right? Okay, so I'll just go faster on these, right? These are quite straightforward. Now, academic programs in space analog research. We do have a few universities that are giving specialized programs in space studies, like the University of North Dakota. In US, you have very many others, right? Research fellowships, so analog astronauts getting hands-on training, hands-on field studies. These are often linked to Mars Society, HISEAS, and ESA labs, but others also come, right? You have student missions, right? Undergrad and even graduate students crew participate in analog rotations, so students perform the role of habitat engineer, right? Researcher. Now, teacher training is very important as well, right? So we have programs from NASA, Spaceward Bound, that prepares educators to teach space science, right? Know that capacity building envelopes everything. You have to build capacity for the teacher, and the teacher build capacity for the student, right? This is how it works. Also, international exchanges, so cross-cultural research experiences and professional development. So continuing education for educators, right? What's happening here? Okay. Routes for academic collaboration. So this is pretty much there for most types of collaborations in universities, research facilities. You have joint research projects, you have student exchange, shared facility, publication partnership, conference participation, and technology transfer, right? Maybe for the Oaseas, right, that is happening now, we have to look into all these, right? Perhaps start with conference participations to sort of increase awareness, right? Joint presentations, joint publications, workshops, academic panels. So all these are there to sort of increase awareness, to create awareness, so that this exists. This is a route, and this is a sort of a program that can lead to a very innovative type of jobs, right? And emerging opportunities in developing nations, right? In Africa, you need to build capacity, right? This is there. Capacity building, developing local expertise, and also infrastructure in space science, life science, mission simulations. You need to train faculty, train students, technical teams, develop the technology. You can foster indigenous solutions for analog habitats, robotics, remote sensing, and also support local manufacturing and innovative ecosystems. I think I've been signed out.
If you could move to wrap it up.
Okay, so we can go on this and this. Okay, now just one word on University of Mauritius. So we are sort of strengthening our basis so that we can also participate in analog research, right? And we also have the MRIC, Mauritius Research Innovation Council, that gives some funding right? So it is very relevant to space analog research, which we are starting now, right? So this is it from my side concerning the analog space research and education. So with a bridge, we offer hands-on. Emerging nations like Mauritius have potential for this ecosystem, and we need collaboration, innovation, and investment. The next frontier is space, and it's how we learn, train, and build. So call for action, right? Contribute your expertise, and let's shape the future of space education on Earth for space. So this is it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'll be happy to answer questions.
Yeah, we're going to have some questions. We're going to see if we can get this sound to work. We're going to see if we can get this sound to work. If Chair, if you could speak again for me, please.
1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fantastic. So don't go anywhere. And Dr. Murden already has his toe in the door because we are working with him to design a project for dust, a robotic remote control dust, let's call it dust removal system from a solar panel that we want to be able to test in analog station in Kenya. And so we're at the fundraising stage now to build out the prototype. So hopefully we get some support. We've gone as far as we can go without any funding. So now we just need a small investment in creating some sensors and some parity needs to build out. So this project would be with Machakos University, a university in Cote d'Ivoire, and we're hoping to find a university in Nigeria who will be part of this project as well, and Mauritius. So it'd be nice to have this go forward. But let's hear from Chip Bolden, who is with Inter-Astra out of the United States of America. So Chair, the floor is yours.
Dr. Nelson, thank you very much. And Dr. Murdon, thanks for setting the bar so high. I am not a doctor, but I appreciate the promotion. I don't have any slides for you all. I'm just going to talk through kind of how I see what I'm doing, what we work on here to relate to Ungana, as well as and Dr. Nelson's work. First, I had to go and do a little bit of research. You know, while I'm an American of African descent, my connections to culture there are not as strong as I would like. And so I had to go and look up what Uganda actually meant. And after finding that out, I realized it isn't just a word, but it's an actual call to all of us to gather with intention. And to be frank, that's exactly what not just what we're doing here, but what I do in my day to day. Our job, Dr. Nelson's, myself, and others, is not just to convene people together like this. It's to actually co-create and make this something that is a community worth participating in, and to root ourselves in that shared future where not just Africa is no longer left out of the discussion, but it actually starts to define it. The cradle of humanity can reclaim that title of being the cradle of advancement as well, because the continent itself has the number one resource that everybody's trying to find, and that's the resource of human capital. Dr. Nelson said something a little bit earlier about exception and adoption. And as I listened to that, I heard something a little bit deeper, and to me, it was an indictment of this system that we exist in that too often resists culture unless it conforms to a perception. And let's just be perfectly frank. Space right now has been driven by a unique and monopolar perspective, predominantly white European males. And so therefore, if things don't conform to that, then it's seen as an outside influence. And it from my opinion, it stops the spread of a cultural influence into what I call the business of space. We call it the business of space because that's the term, rather than space economy or space industry. It's a term that I think communicates to people a little bit more that there is real opportunity for anyone to take space-related innovations, technologies, and whatnot, and bring them back to Earth to benefit humankind. And this kind of fits into the discussion around analog missions. People are only going to understand things that they've either experienced or that someone has explained to them in a way that they can grasp on it. So at Interastra, we see ourselves as a global community to help people with that understanding. And it itself is a living ecosystem. Analog missions are how we test more than just theories and hardware, but they're also how we test humanity and how humankind is going to interact in those environments. And both Dr. Mirren and Dr. Nelson have mentioned this a couple times since I've been listening for the past hour. So we challenge those assumptions, how we build the systems that reflect our values and the design for the diverse realities that we know to be the future is how we are going to come together. And more importantly, it's how where we come from and what we need to push it forward. The organization Dr. Nelson leads, and the fact that they convene these things, this is what, Dr. Nelson, the fourth year that you've done this, fifth year?
The third year.
Third year. That's proof that this has got staying power, and that the cradle of humanity, i.e. the continent of Africa, is becoming that cradle for the future. And it goes right along with her title of the Futures Forum. So it fits perfectly. InterAstra is here. We're not observers. We're not directors. We are conveners and we're storytellers. We're not here to extract anything. We're here to invest our time and our capital to make those opportunities available for everybody, not just people in the United States that are in the traditional space industry as we know it. We stand very ready to support Dr. Nelson's mission and others. InterAstra is a consortium of entities. We've got the Charles F. Bolden Advisory Group, which is replete with expertise in the space domain. We've got former astronauts, former administrators, as well as cultural leaders that are associated. We also have the InterAstra Institute, which is where we do similar to what we're doing here. We convene to create experiential events and purpose that people can relate to and get off and start to do their own analogs, if they will. As I reflect on what Dr. Nelson's put together, the timing of this, as I said before, is really, really, really the convening of this is very timely. With the African Union establishing its strategy, which gives us a strong framework for interaction, how to bring Africa up on step. It also creates the space. It opens the spacescape for gatherings like this to put a human face to what we're trying to do. And I'll reiterate that InterAstra, we don't just talk about overlooked, underrepresented, disadvantaged voices. We also talk about the overlooked talent that's associated across the board, and Space Ungana is helping us to correct that oversight. Within the Bolden group itself, we're here to help leaders kind of bridge that divide from where they are to where they want to be. We do we're very acutely aware that the language in which people receive things is important. I'm not talking about linguistic language. I'm talking about idiomatic, this the way we communicate with one another. It's interesting because over the years, as Dr. Nelson and I've had conversations, there's times where we talk right past each other because her heritage and background and her accent sometimes get me lost. And just like my simple country bumpkin perspective, when we talk about things, she's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Those are not a lack of understanding because we're both English speakers, we're both fairly intelligent. It's just that the nuance of our idiomatic language sometimes bypasses each other. And so I think there's the analog missions that everybody's performing is a direct way for us to pressure test and validate that our communication is up and running. The last thing I will say on that is, the two things when we're trying to bring together a global community like this, there's two things we've got to make sure that we pay attention to. One is communication. Are we communicating using the same types of tools and resources? And two, expectation. Are we all operating from that same position where our expectations are the same and we're moving towards the same goal? If those two things are aligned, we're never gonna seek or we're never gonna find that alignment that I think we all believe is out there. There's a couple of things that I saw in preparation for this, talking about volunteerism, participation opportunity. Dr. Nelson mentioned earlier some potential opportunities with scouts and whatnot. There are legion organizations out there that are on a daily doing this analog mission. They may not realize that they're pressure testing concepts and ways of living that will be applied once we have more humans living in microgravity. More importantly, they're testing and they're validating the way we use those space-based technologies and innovations back down here on Earth, because that's really the most important thing. The continent of Africa has got so much to offer the globe. We just need to create more access and opportunity for them to really get out there and shine. And so I'm thrilled to be here. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to have a few minutes to address with you, and I look forward to your questions. But like I said, I'm not a doctor. I just speak in plain language and basic concepts. So I'm ready for whatever questions you all might have, and I'm ready to flow with you and build something together. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thanks, Dr. Nelson. Thanks, Dr. Murdon, and the press.
Yeah, thank you so much. So one of the questions I want to get started with, while we see if I can get our other speaker in, is because we're missing two people. is the issue of partnerships, because we are living through a very rapid change in the space community in the US system. One is, when I actually got started with this, my vision was to bring together academics in the US and NGOs to do partnerships. So I saw this process of Space Ungana was to create academic and citizen science and NGOs and startups working together to create an ecosystem. So Che, based on where you sit and the connections that you have, what can we do with, as I say, with what we have? One of the first things I always say to people, I don't want to hear that there's no funding. It's a very annoying thing for me, right? If we say we have no funding, we'll never get started. But we have institutions, we have NGOs, and we have small things we can do, especially if we're talking about communication, because one of the things we have understood from our colleagues in Brazil, for example, that during the pandemic, they perfected the art of virtual analogs because people were just going stir crazy. So they perfected that art. So what is it that we could do to get some of the universities in the US that are starving for access to the global south, to Africa universities? We already have some universities already embedded in the network that we have collated. The one we're in right now, the one we had our Moon Day event at, there are 3 university groups in the room. There are 3 space clubs from, 4 universities, students here from 4 different space clubs. We have Mauritius in the room. So we have at least Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Mauritius, and actually somebody in Uganda who's an AI expert who is interested in doing stuff. So how would we begin to get beyond the one university I have on the US side so far, which is Morgan State? How would I get other universities to begin to have the conversations I'm having, do the beginning projects that what we're doing with universities in Africa?
So the very first thing that came to mind as you were asking me the question was setting expectations. One of the things I hear a lot of people talk about, and it to be perfectly blunt, frank, it ruffles my feathers, and they say they want to help Africa catch up. Forgive my French when I say this, and I say that tongue in cheek because I know some people on here are actual French speakers, but I think that's a bullshit statement. I think that the goal is for Africa to lead, African nations to assume a role of leadership. So if anybody has this idea that, hey, we need to do things to get Africa on par with everyone else, I would encourage you to disavow that and set the bar much higher. Say, how do we establish, first in class capabilities, originating from the continent and the 55 nations that are there. The next thing, as far as interacting with universities, I made the comment about the number one resource that the continent has above almost anywhere else, maybe with one exception, maybe being India, and that's human capital. Universities thrive on bringing and capitalizing on human capital. And I think that, universities in the United States have demonstrated that that's something they were able to do. Universities in Africa are starting to do that as well, as far as I can tell. The challenge we're facing right now with the current U.S. administration is anything that would touch Africa seems to have a film on it if you were to listen to our president talk about it. And so that discourages people from recognizing that there is this incredible resource of human capital to dig into. And so, for this group, I would highly encourage anybody who interacts with academia, whether it's U.S. or your organic or native academic institutions, and impress upon them that the future it hasn't been written, and we need people who have the imagination and the passion to get in there and start to write that future. And once we start getting undergraduates and graduates into that area, then we turn to the trade sector and start to encourage those who are in the trade sector to upskill and get prepared for what does the business of space with respect to their trade look like in the future. A lot of conversations I have around the two most interesting professions are designer, like an interior designer or a clothing designer, and electrician. There is going to be a need for both of those almost for time immemorial. We just don't know exactly what they look like, and we need young people in an academic setting to start thinking about it, and young people in the apprenticeship area to start pushing boundaries. Hopefully that answered your question, but it was a little bit long.
Yes, it did. But the piece is missing. I like that part about Africa leading because I like to use the reference to M-Pesa and money and mobile money, how Africa leapfrog because they didn't have to build. So in the same way, especially with the fact that we have so many social problems in terms of energy, water, waste management, education. And yesterday we heard from 3 African startup people who are doing great research across the board. We know that there's capacity. So one of the things is lack of self-confidence of the governments who make some decisions to invest in these companies. And so sometimes for African startups and universities to be taken seriously by their own governments, somebody from the outside has to say, hey, these guys are doing great stuff. And this is why understanding that as somebody who's an immigrant and understanding from my own experience trying to do work back in Jamaica that nobody took me seriously, right? So I had to come outside again and do something in the US and in Africa first. Now they're beginning to take me seriously. That sometimes for Africans, they need that outside leg to say, hey, we are partnering with these groups, and then people in their own country take them seriously. So Anshu, while you're hearing this, we know that Mauritius Space Research Organization took the bold step to do something. But again, they did not take the university seriously and recognize that talent like yours exists. I mean, his brain is like, he's an innovator. So his brain operates at a very, complex, and curiosity level is very high. So if I say to him, hey, Andrea, I'm thinking about this, next thing you know, he'll come up with 6 potential ways we could do something. So as a small island in the Indian Ocean, we see that a talent like this can still be useful to leapfrog. So the concept, for example, of an automated dust control system, which we're going to need on the moon, which we're going to need also on Earth. We can't have all these solar systems that, yes, I know that the materials are also changing to make them less dust gathering, quote unquote, but still we have to clean these panels for maximum efficiency. So if we can create a automated cleaning system that's affordable and test it, we're providing some new knowledge to this concept of how do we actually provide energy. There's also the battery question we're beginning to think about and talk through. So universities like yours, what are some of the challenges you feel as a small island that you'd like to put on the table in terms of your goal to get more international partnerships into Mauritius? Andrew.
Okay. Yeah. In fact, like you mentioned, small island, we are like a small island. We have priority list, always priority list. So today, everyone's speaking about sustainability. If our project talks about sustainability, then okay, it will go ahead. Even a small scale can become big scale, can become bigger scale with a partnership abroad, right? So this is one thing. Everything that we can do, we can think of, should have this element of sustainability. We have the UN sustainability goals, right? So many SDGs. If we can sort of pinpoint a few, say, okay, for research, for space analog research, we are addressing this and this and this, say SDG 11, like innovation, right? This will work. And these are sort of, these are very appealing to investors. Not really investors in terms of giving big money, even other universities or even funding bodies or EU. They like these types of things. You are trying to solve a problem that can be replicated. Your solution can be replicated to other countries in the same sort of tropical island or small island development state, right? These type of things. So even analog research was sort of unknown even to me and to a few years back, right? Until and unless we got this MRIC funding the CubeSat, right? That was launched, and immediately you see a space. research became sort of on the top list, right? So these types of things, whatever is triggering immense attention, normally comes from, say, abroad, right? So this country is launching this, we can do this, we can do better, we can, even a very small country we can sort of contribute in terms of innovation, IoT, green space, greening things, making them more efficient. I think these are the things that we can do right now from university, right? So does this answer your question? So
well, I'm trying to get somebody in who's trying to get in. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. As you hear, she's trying to get in. So as you hear what Che said, Andrew, do you have any like response in terms of Africa leading? I mean,
Yes.
are there spaces in which you believe that your university can lead? I know you're very good at solar energy, for example, and that's going to be critical. We talk about
One thing
space-based
we
solar
have to
power.
remember.
Yeah, go ahead. There are other things I'm sure, but that's what I know about. Yeah.
Yes. The one thing, just let's put it clear. The world sees Mauritius as an African country. This is where we are. So when we talk about Mauritius, we talk about Africa as well, right? So this is good for us. And Africa is going to lead because this is the biggest sort of potentially untapped. It has to be tapped now. Like you mentioned, digital money in Kenya, just a leapfrog. It doesn't go from A to B to C to D. It goes from A to F directly, right? So these types of things, even in some countries, they like telecommunications. We have the landline phones, and then the generation 1, generation 2, and then GSM, and then it goes to 3G and 4G and 5G. In some countries, they miss the 2G directly. From landline phone, they go directly to 3G and 4G and 5G because the infrastructure is different. So Africa can sort of look where the world is going, and sort of, even if you are back a few years back, look for what is next. Say the world is going for 5G, you go for 6G because the infrastructure is different. Instead of investing billions and billions for an existing infrastructure, go for the next one. The rich country have the resources, they will do it. But Kenya did very well with the digital money, with fintech, right? Today, I think more than 60% of the money exchange is done digitally there, which is a big thing for Africa, right? So it resonates well. And Africa, in terms of, it is very near to the equator, right? The solar panels, say we are capturing part of the soil's energy. The same solar panel, if you put in Africa, it will capture much more energy. So solar industry will flourish in Africa right now, much more than in Southern Hemisphere or the Northern Hemisphere, right? So these are things we can think we can work on, right?
Thank you. Che, feedback?
No, I think what he said was people who they were listening, and that they've got their own plan to follow in his footsteps.
Dr. Chin, let me see if I can see you. I'm not seeing you. I'm bringing you on stage, but I'm not seeing you. Let's see if we can get you back in. We're not seeing you, we're not hearing you, so something is wrong.
No, can you hear me now?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
I think the internet connection is running at a very slow rate. I think if I put on the video, it's gonna go again.
Okay, just go ahead. You have about 5 minutes. We're about ready to wrap up, and we're going to get one more person in. So I'm not sure if you can share screen, given that you can't be seen, but let's see if you can try to share your screen. That might work.
Okay, let me see. Share.
Otherwise, just talk about your project. Yeah, I don't think it's sharing. So why don't you just go ahead and talk about your vision of having a launch, different kinds of launch capability from Africa and circumvent it. Let me just say that Dr. Howard Chin has a patent for a space
Can you see anything?
elevator concept. Yes, we're hearing you. Dr. Chin has a patent for a space elevator concept, but he also has been doing some research and some thought experiments into a different kind of a launch pad. So Dr. Chin, if you could talk about just the launch pad in Nigeria, how you see that, please. You have 5 minutes. Hello? I think he's gone again. All right. So we tried. It's very challenging.
Can you hear me?
He's in Jamaica. So he's in Jamaica. So we have to have you another time, do a special.
Can you hear me?
No, you are breaking up. So we're going to have to just move you off stage. It's just not working. All right. Okay. So
Okay. Like I
you are
say,
breaking up.
if you just give the presentation documents to them.
It's breaking up very badly. So it's
Yes,
not going to work. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, I'll just listen then.
Okay, we have to have a special event then, because I really have been interested in your ideas about bringing launchpad costs down and also creating opportunities for reusable rockets that Africa can run straight to that based on what is being designed in the marketplace right now. All right, so we are about to wrap up. I'm going to go ahead and talk about Shakti Sat project because Dr. Srimati didn't make it. And because I actually, okay, she's still trying to get the link. Let me just send it to her directly in the meantime. She is out of India and she runs Space Kids India. And her project is, again, trying to really democratize access to space. And what it is doing is, training girls age 14 to 18 to, thanks, Shay, I know he has to go to another meeting. What it's doing is training girls age 14 to 18 in 108 countries, including in Nigeria. I'm not sure, Andrew, we have anybody in Mauritius. I don't think we do. Training girls age 14 to 18 to learn the coding necessary to learn how to code payload for a satellite that they're going to be building in India to circumnavigate the moon. And so she's trying to join. I see a text from her. That to me is very exciting. And I signed on to be an advisor because I felt like a bold initiative like that, which says, hey, we can train girls as young as 14 to 18 in high schools all around the world to learn enough to participate in a multinational project. And the project will mean that after they've done all the online training, and she'll talk more about it, specific, and I'll ask some questions about that. After they've done all the online training, they're going to be allowed to visit India and spend, I believe, 2 weeks working intensely to actually build this payload. And so the process we're going through, first of all, a mega project like this offers learnings on so many different fronts that I do think that this is the kind of project that has to be the Apollo project, quote unquote. And let's not call it Apollo. Let's come up with another name. Maybe I don't know. We come up with an African name for it, but a project based on the name of an African name for a star. I think there's only one star that has an African name, it's a Zulu name. That will allow us to really find one catapult that allows universities in Africa to come together to do a project. So that's what I think we ought to be beginning to think about in terms of where do we go from here. Are there any questions from the audience that is listening? I see quite a few of you online. Any questions, comments? I see one from LiveWell. LiveWell Initiative says that the Global Public Health University for his faculty for the future, is keen on joining the test pilot with Kenya, and Professor Nelson, that's me, visiting professor. We want to be taking on board a project launch as it falls in line with the issue of partnerships and getting more university on board. Thank you so much for suggesting. As you heard earlier, we have issue of health as one of our topics, so there certainly is opportunity for you to be a part of that. Any questions from anybody in the room? Comments? It's our last session, so feel free to comment. Anybody? Any questions about what an analog is? They're exhausted. Yeah. All right. So with that, I think we're going to have to just close to end. I'm not seeing her joining. And Dr. Benga, is he still around? No. Andrew, you want to have any closing remarks?
Yes. So I'm very grateful to you for inviting me to take part on this very interesting conference. So as we talked about this earlier, the process is ongoing, right? We are trying to put people on board because the concept itself, the concept of analog research, analog itself wasn't known, right? So it's coming, but soon, very soon, we will have a sort of we'll come with the several different types of projects that can fit in analog research, and hopefully we can meet the expectations and then be there, right? So this is the aim, right? We are trying to work with other universities as well, because you have more than 5 universities in Mauritius, big universities, and then you have smaller ones. So these are sort of offshoots from different universities. And our student unions also are working in this direction, right? So this is a good opportunity for people, because at maybe a few years back, it was impossible to think of sort of an African or a Mauritian being an astronaut. Impossible to think.
I have one question. Actually, I have one question which I need to ask before I let you go. I want it on the record. There are 5 or 6, I believe, African island nations. Is there a university consortium of the island nations? In other words, are you, as University of Mauritius, in a relationship with the university in Seychelles, Comoros, Cape Verde, Sao Tome and Principe, and I don't know, I'm not sure if Madagascar is in that list of African islands, but is there a university consortium that already exists just for the island nations of Africa?
I'm not aware of this, but the way we work is that, suppose for a specific project, we'll have, say, 5 different universities, and we have an MOU with these 5 different universities for a specific project. I think this goes project by project, right? Because we all.
Well, I just want to say then, I just really want to say, because again, this conference is about trying to find an action item. I think the first action item that I would like University of Mauritius to do is really reach out to the universities in the other African nations, and let us convene a special event just with those universities to talk about space and the blue economy. And let's plan that for September the 16th, which is the UN Day for Science and Technology Innovation for the Global South. So we have 8 weeks to get it done, but I think we have to start that conversation. Otherwise, all the African island nations will be left behind. And since you guys are the furthest ahead, it will be, your island is the furthest ahead in this thing by having already launched a satellite. Your university already would automatically have more privileges in that regard. I think it's something you could take up as a launch. So let us discuss further how we might do this as a first step moving forward. All right? Sounds like a plan?
Right. Thank you, Dr. Yeah, great plan.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much. We have come to the end of a very rich conversation. And I would like to say to everyone who participated, thank you so much for the last 3 days of conversation, dialogue, what else? Conversation, dialogue, learning, unlearning, relearning. So much has happened. We began on day one with a foundational capacity. Yesterday, we spent some time around space for the SDGs. And today, we looked at exploration, settlement, and sustainability issues. We are going to move from here tomorrow to a design dojo, and we'll be posting online for those of you who have young people, the fact that we have an online opportunity to participate in a hackathon. And for those of us who are here, we have opportunity to participate in the design dojo, which will take place on campus here tomorrow. So if you're in line, please visit our website. You'll have some information at 9 o'clock tomorrow. We will announce the design hackathon for those online. If you have students, if you're listening online, you're from a university, please let 3 to 5 of your students can form a team. They can sign up and join online tomorrow. We have 3 different challenges that they can participate in, and that announcement will be made at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock West African time, right? 9 o'clock West African time. So you can participate from anywhere in the world, in the Caribbean, in Africa. If you're African going to university in Europe or the US or Canada, you're also welcome to participate. So with that, thanks everyone for listening. And we look forward to seeing you in the hackathon if you're on. Otherwise, see you next year. Take care. Okay, so those of you in the room, I think they want a group picture.